Once you understand what really happens at 59 and a half, many of you'll realize you've already earned the right to stop working full-time without blowing up your retirement. If you're between 57 and 62 and still planning to work until 65, this video may change that design forever. Friends, there's a quiet moment that shows up for a lot of people around age 57, 58, 59. They open their 401k or IRA statement aspect at the balance, and for the very number one clip, the question in their head changes from, "Do I have enough?" to "Why am I still working this hard?" On top of that, and do I actually need to? Most people keep working past that moment, not because they can't afford to retire yet, but because no one has ever explained how alternative the rules become at age 59 and a half and how much control that age gives you over taxes, income, and your clip. In this video, I'll walking you through why age 59 and a half is such an effective turning point. Really how retirement income works very differently from paycheck income, the concealed cost of working too long in taxes and in lost healthy years, and a step-by-step framework so you can decide whether you truly need to keep working past 59 and a half. Stick with me to the end because I'll give you one simple question to ask yourself tonight that has led many people to walk into work the following day with a completely new level of confidence. Of course, and just a reminder, the math in this video is very real number. Grab a pen because you may want to pause and jot some numbers down as we go. Of course, subdivision 1, why 59 and a half changes everything. Let's first with the rule that quietly alteration everything. Before age 59 and a 1/2, most withdrawal from traditional IAS and 401ks are hit with a 10% early withdrawal penalty on top of your fixture income tax. There are exceptions. Disability, certain medical expense, the rule of 55 for some 401ks. But for most people before 59 and basically half, touching that money is expensive. The day you scope 59 and a half, that 10% penalty disappears for most retirement history. Generally, you owe ordinary income tax on traditional accounts, but the penalty is gone, which means your retirement accounts halt being locked boxes and get-go becoming tools you can in reality use. To be honest, in a minute, I'll show you how that one modification can save some people well into 6 figures in lifetime taxes. But first you need to grasp why this window, pretty much between 59, 12, and your early 60s, is so special. The planning opportunity is not just that you can take money out. It's that you can now design how money comes out and how that interacts with Social Security, Medicare, and required minimum distributions later. And here's the thing, conceive of 59 and a 1/2 as getting the master key to your retirement account. The question is not, should I drain them now? The question is, how can I unlock just enough in the smartest way so I can buy back my clip without overpaying the IRS? Subdivision 2, work income versus retirement income. Here's the number one mindset shift that makes people stop working yesteryear 59-12. Your income in retirement does not have to look anything like your income while you're working. When you're working, your payroll check is rigid. Almost every dollar is taxed the same way at the same bracket every 2 weeks. Once you're past 59 and a half and no longer tied to a salary, your income becomes flexible. So what does this mean? Surprisingly, you get to choose how much income you draw, which history it comes from, and how that mix hits your tax return. You might blend a small IRA withdrawal with some Roth income, some cash savings, mayhap dividends from a non-exempt account, and later on your sociable security benefit. Icon 3 faucets over your kitchen sink. One is labeled tax deferred. That's your 401ks and traditional IAS. Obviously, one is tax-free. That's Roth accounts. One is non-exempt, your regular brokerage and cash. After 59-12, you get to resolve how far to open each faucet each 12 month, and that decides how wet the IRS gets. If they stop or scale back work, for many people, the years between 59 and a half and about 65 before Medicare, and sometimes before claiming societal security, are actually the lowest tax eld of their retirement. Now, here's where it gets good. Those can be the perfect old age to do things like partial Roth conversions or intentional withdrawals that fill up lower tax bracket. In a moment, I'll walking through how this ties into the new required minimum distribution age and why working just a few more years can quietly push your future tax bill way up. Section 3, the new RMD age and your tax window. Here's the deal. Recent law changes gave citizenry in their late 50s and early 60s an even bigger planning window. Under Secure Act 2.0, the age to get go required minimum distributions RMDs from most retirement accounts increased to 73, and for citizenry born in 1960 or later, it will rise again to 75 in 2033. That means if you are in your early 60s today and born after 1959, you may have roughly 10 to 15 years between age 59 and a half, and your number one forced dispersion. Why does that matter? Really, because every 12-month you intentionally move money out of tax-deferred account on your terms, perhaps by converting a slice to a Roth IRA or taking withdrawals while you're in a lower bracket. Here's the deal. You are shrinking the size of those future RMDs that the IRS will force out ulterior. Larger RMDs later can do tierce things you probably do not lack. Push you into higher tax brackets in your 70s and 80s. Trigger higher Medicare Part B and D premium through income-related surcharges. Reduce your flexibleness to manage taxation in later years. Here's why this matters. Frankly, in plain English, if you donge in working full-time past 59 and a half without a tax program, you may be handing the IRS and Medicare chili out of dollars a year in avoidable taxes and premiums when you are 75 and tired of paperwork. You work too difficult for that. The sweet spot is this: fewer or no paychecks coming in, penalty-free entree to your retirement chronicle, and no RMDs yet. Definitely, that's exactly the window that opens up about age 59 and a half. Here's the bottom line, notably Section 4, the hidden cost of work too long. Most citizenry assume that working longer make retirement safer. More economy must mean more protection, right? Not always. If you work full-time trench into your 60s, essentially you may actually lose your low tax years, the yield when you could have done Roth conversions at relatively low rates or drawn down some tax postponed balance before RMDs get go. Delaying retirement can also mean postponing Social Security strategy. I mean forcing more of your lifetime income into later years when tax brackets, Medicare surcharge, and require withdrawals collide all at once. There is another cost that does not show up on a spreadsheet. Every extra 12-month you work full-time in your early 60s is one less 12-month when you are as healthy, energetic, asset, mobile as you are today. Many retirees describe the activities they can do in their early 60s, essentially. Long trips, hiking with grandkids, big house projects is very different from what they tone able to do in their mid-70s. So the real question is not, can I squeeze out a few more dollars by working longer? Certainly, it's what am I giving up in tax opportunities and in healthy years by staying in the office when I may not need to. Without question, if your doctor looked you in the eye and said, your healthiest 5 L'd start right now, would you drop them in meetings you don't enjoy, or would you spend them on the people and project you care about most? Naturally, hold that thought while we talk about the two big fears that keep people stuck. Health insurance, and do I really have decent? Without question, Section 5, wellness insurance and healthcare costs before 65. The number one thing people tell Uncle Toilet when they think about stopping work before 65 is this. The reality is, basically, I'm terrified of wellness insurance cost. That fear is real number, but it becomes manageable once you put numbers to it. Plus, if you retire in your early 60s and buy coverage on the Affordable Care Act marketplace, average benchmark monthly premiums for someone in their early 60s have been estimated around $1,000 to $100 per person before subsidies. That means a 62-year-old duet might easily see quotes go up $2,000 a month before tax credits, depending on income and location. On the other hand, once you reach 65 and enroll in Medicare, your long-term health care costs do not disappear. Major studies estimate that a typical 65-year-old couple retire in 2025 may need well into six-figures set aside just for health care over the rest of their lives, including premiums and out-of-pocket costs. Here's the key. At the end of the day, when you stop work and lower your taxable income between 59, 12, and 65, you may actually reduce those marketplace premium through income-based subsidies and open up more room for Roth conversions without hitting the highest brackets. So, health policy is not always a reason you cannot retire. It is a price that needs to be built into a smart design. Without question, this is where a detailed retirement program or goodness planning software can aid framework different what-if paths retiring at 59, 12, 62, or 65, and show how health aid, taxes, and account balances interact over clip. Section 6, redefining enough. So, what does this mean? People often ask, Uncle John, how do I know when I have enough to retire? Most expect the answer to be a single dollar figure, 1 million, 2 million, 25 times their expenses. Rules of thumb, like the classic 4% rule, can be useful starting points, but they were made with very conservative assumptions and fixed spending in mind. Research has shown that in many historical periods, withdrawing 4% a year in reality left retiree with more than they started with, and sustainable climb-down rates have often been higher than that formula suggests. Interestingly, the real definition of decent is not just the size of your accounts. It is the lucidity of your income design. Indeed, when you know your spending, your tax bracket, your withdrawal strategy, Social Security timing, and wellness care plan, you halt guessing. At the end of the day, a couple with $1.5 million and a clear scheme, can feel far more confident than a couple with $4 million and no program. Truth is, clarity is what turns fear into freedom. The truth is, once citizenry see how their income can in reality work after 59 and a 1/2, how much needs to come from investments, how much can come from part-time piece of work, and how taxes behave, Many realize they do not need to keep grinding the way they have been. If you can halt working, Section 7er, a practical fabric to settle. Of course, let's pull this together into a simple framework you can walk through after this video. This is where Uncle Toilet gets a small advanced, but stick with it. This is the part that makes people look at age 59 and a 1/2 completely differently. Here's the deal. Pace 1, know your real number spending number. First, figure out what you really spend in a 12-month. Look at the last 6 to 12 months of bank and card statements and group expenses into essentials, housing, food, utilities, insurance, and lifestyle, traveling, gifts, hobbies. Often you cannot respond, do I demand to keep working? So what does this mean? Until you know what living actually costs you. Also, measure 2. Map your 3 bucket. Definitely following, lay out your accounts in 3 buckets. Bucket 1, actually, hard cash and near immediate payment for the next 1 to 3 years. Frankly, checking, savings, short-term CDs. Bucketful 2, conservative investing for years 4 to 10, bonds, balanced funds. Usually bucket 3, growing investments for 10 plus years, stock funds and long-term growth. At 59.5, many people consolidate old 401ks into few accounts so they can see the whole picture more clearly and plan RMDs more easy later. Step trio, use the 59-12 RMD window intentionally. Then look at the old age between 59-12 and your RMD age. 57 for many current retirees, 75 actually, for those bare 1960 or late. As your tax design window, ask questions like if I stop or reduce work, what tax angle bracket would I fall into? How much could I convert from traditional IAS to Roth each year while staying in a comfortable bracket? Could I draw a modest amount from tax hold over accounts now to reduce future RMDs and Medicare hunt complaint? Besides, a good planner or software, can model these scenarios year by year. Step 4, determine your piece of work style, not just your retirement date. Let me put it this way. Stopping work at 59.5, more or less, does not have to mean going from 100% full-time to 0 overnight. Some people withdraw totally. Without question, others shift to part-time consulting or a lower stress role. Without question, the key question is, if I stopped full-time work today, how much income would I in reality need from my investments to covert the gap? Now here's where it gets good. When people finally run that number, many are surprised. They realize that between nest egg, maybe a small pension off, maybe a mate still work, and designed withdrawals, they don't need their comprehensive old earnings at all. The thing is, and that spring them permission to redesign piece of work on their own terms. Step quint, clean up debt and big obligations. Entering retirement with large, high-interest debts can choke your flexibility. Use your late 50s and early 60s to aggressively pay off credit cards and personal loans, and then decide how you feel about the mortgage. Surprisingly, some citizenry take to enter retirement with a paid-off home for peace of head, even if the maths is debatable. Here's why this matters. If you have large retirement savings and expensive debt, sometimes using a carefully planned dispersion after 59.5 to wipe out that debt can make sense, but only after running the tax impact and the long-term plan. Step 6, coordinate Social Security and pensions. Create an account at the Societal Security Administration website and print out your welfare estimates at different claiming ages. For many people, every 12-month you delay claiming from 62 to full retirement age increases your monthly benefit by around 5 to 6%. Besides, and from full retirement age to 70, the increase can be about 8% per year. If you or your spouse has a pension, get the detailed payout options in writing. Include early retirement reductions and lump sum choices. Coordinating Social Security and pensions with your climb down and tax design can, more or less, add tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars over a retirement. Stride 7, design your following chapter on purpose. Finally, spend real time sketching your life after full-time work. Where will you dwell? What will you do with your days? What will living you engaged, useful, and connected? Finances support this picture. They don't replace it. Many people discovered that once they have flush a rough icon like we'll sell the big house in 3 years, travel more while our knees cooperate, help the grandkids with college, the fear of leaving piece of work starts to shrink. What we're seeing is your money finally has a quite job buying you the life you actually lack. Let's finish with a simple story. Also, names changed, numbers simplified, but this is based on real families. Tom and Linda are 59 and 57. They ever assumed they would both work until 65. They had about the kind of savings a lot of diligent savers in their late 50s have a paid-down mortgage and grown kids. Notably, for 3 years in a row, Tom kept saying, "Just one more 12-month, then I'll feeling safe." Sound familiar? Finally, they sat down and did exactly what this video describes. They measured spending, mapped their bucket, modeled withdrawals between 59, 12 and 70, and looked at diverse sociable protection strategies. What they discovered was eye-opening. They did not need Tom's full salary anymore. If he stopped full-time piece of work at 60, they could cover the gap with a mix of modest withdrawals from IAS in a low bracket, some Roth conversion each 12-month, marketplace health insurance with achievable premiums once income dropped, and Linda working part-time for a few years doing something she enjoyed. Tom ended up retiring from full-time work at 62 instead of 65, but he tells everyone he wishes he had done it even sooner. Interestingly, the difference in energy between 59 and 62 was much bigger than he expected, and those early retirement years became some of the richest of his life. Importantly, the point is not that you should retire at 59, 12, or 62. The point is that once you really understand what that age unlocks, penalty-free access, a powerful tax window, flexible income, you may discover you no longer want a piece of work the way you have been. If you are between 55 and 65, here's the inquiry I want you to ask yourself tonight before you go to bed. If I stop full-time work at 59, a one-half, or 60, exactly how much income would I really need from my investments after accounting for savings, part-time piece of work, certainly, what's more, sociable protection timing to live the living I really want, plus not the life your neighbor wants, not the life the financial commercials show, the living you lack. If you do not know that figure, it is time to build a plan. Once you comprehend how retirement income really works after 59 and a half, you may find that you are already far closer to piece of work optional than you ever imagined. Do 3 things for Uncle Lav, if this helped. What we're seeing is, hit that ilk button so more people your age see this. Subscribe to Uncle John Financials so you do not miss the next deep dive on societal protection, Roth conversions, and retirement taxes. The reality is, and in the comments, type the word clarity. If you want more videos on how to use age 59 and a half to buy back your clip, remember retirement is not about work until you cannot move. It's about use money, math, and a little Uncle Lav wisdom so you can stop work when you no longer need to, not when someone else's calendar tells you to. I'm Uncle John, your guide to real-world retirement. Actually, I'll see you in the next